Here we go. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. This is a third webinar in our series of educational events hosted by DAMA Ukraine Kyiv. And today we are happy to have Scott Taylor, the famous data whisperer, with us. I will let Scott introduce himself later. I'm quite excited to have such a strong and experienced speaker today because in DAMA Ukraine, one of our core values is to promote data management and make people aware of importance of data management and enable people to also share this attitude and advocate data management across enterprise, across all the industries. And I hope today you'll take something with you, and you'll be able to learn some important, powerful techniques for that. My name is Alexander Zhukov. I'm the president of DAMA Ukraine Kyiv, and I'm happy to greet everyone. And I guess we'll slowly kick the ball rolling, and I will transfer the mic to Scott Taylor and let him do the show.
All right, are we set? Am I on?
Yeah, great.
Hello, everybody. Let me share my screen, get all that set. It's going, and then I gotta. There we go. So you can see both me and the slides. Is that all working okay? Should I be bigger? Should I be small? I can be smaller. All right, we good?
Yeah.
All right. Good morning, everybody, or at least it's morning here. Good afternoon to all of you. Delighted to be here. Scott Taylor, the Data Whisperer. And I am thrilled to be presenting to my 38th DAMA chapter. You can see the logos of all the other ones I've been going to. I did a virtual world tour a couple years ago with the DAMA chapters, and then have visited plenty of them in person. Obviously, phoning in here from Connecticut in the United States, about 50 miles from New York, where it's hot and humid. And the day has barely started yet, but thrilled to be talking to all of you about this important topic with what we call telling your data story. We stand by Ukraine, absolutely. Just to get a little bit serious there for a moment, I wish all of you peace and happiness, and hopefully things will work out. But I can't even imagine what you're going through, so we'll try and kind of focus on this topic here for the moment. And wanted to share with you what I call leveraging the 3 V's of data storytelling for data management. Data storytelling is really a critical element of data management these days, and I'll give you my perspective on it, which is, as usual, a little different than what most people think, but hopefully it'll be helpful. Or the subtitle of this particular presentation is Data is the New Bullshit. Why the way we talk about data is holding the industry back and what you can do about it. Somebody's got to say it. Somebody has to say the way we talk about data sometimes is not as impactful or as clear or as effective as we would like it to be. And all of us out there trying to struggle to get stakeholder engagement, get funding, get your enterprise and your corporation and your company to support what you are doing in data can be an absolute challenge. And part of the reason I believe we're not getting the support we need is because of the way we talk about it. And I've been using this little phrase here for a while, and I updated it this year with, of course, the Gen AI edition, because everything we do in data now has to have Gen AI in it, right? All you have to do is slap Gen AI on something, and all of a sudden it's brand new. I'm sure some of you are using generative AI to drive tangible business value. Some of you are probably rolling your eyes and because you've been using classic, regular old artificial intelligence for who knows how long, and now all of a sudden everybody's interested in it. And maybe perhaps a few of you are telling the business you're using AI, but it's really machine learning. They'll never know. But in any case, the whole AI hype cycle, as no matter what value it's bringing, it is also adding a whole new layer of complexity in terms of being able to talk clearly about the power and value of data management. And I'm here to help with that. So my mission is to give you new ways to talk about what you already know. I'm sure plenty of you are data leaders, data experts, data management, have tremendous data management experience. You know how to get the things done, but sometimes we've got to talk about it in a different, more business accessible way so the stakeholders will give you that support you're looking for. A little bit of background about me. My company is Meta Consulting. We're about what it's about. Meta. No, we're not changing our name to Facebook. Don't ask that question. I get that question all the time. And spoiler alert, in case you're wondering, Scott Taylor, the Data Whisperer, I don't do a whole lot of whispering. I'm out there to help tell, sell, and yell about the power and value of proper data management. I talk about how people talk about data. That's my expertise. I've been a storyteller in the data space since storytelling was 2 words, and I've helped organizations convey the value of what they're trying to offer to their enterprise in terms of data management. I provide what I call data evangelism as a service, a way to get people fired up about the work that you do, and I focus on the why rather than the how. I'm sure you know how to get it done, but I've never met a CEO or a business leader who cares how it's going to be done until they understand why it's important to the organization. My experience comes actually from the supplier side. So I've worked with some iconic world-class data brands like Nielsen, Dun & Bradstreet, WPP Kantar. I've traveled the world and talked to every type of enterprise at every level of data maturity in every sector all across the earth. They're all limit my scope a little bit in terms of experience. But I began to see very common traits, challenges, patterns, similarities between companies when it came to data management. And while the challenges aren't always the same, I'd suggest they are more the same than they are different at this foundational data management layer. You might call it different things, and I'll go through that. But those basic challenges that hamper any enterprise's progress are really remarkably similar. I'm a full-time content creator now. For the last 5 years, I've been spending my days in LinkedIn and YouTube creating all kinds of content. I've got a puppet series called The Data Puppets. You'll have to check that out. If we have time, I'll show you one of the videos at the end. It stars the CDO, the Chief Dog Officer, and he's accompanied by the ITB. And they go off and try and fix their enterprise data challenges and run into all kinds of problems that I'm sure would be very familiar to you as well. Only it's a bit of a lighthearted, entertaining view of the data space. Just Google the term data puppets. I'm all that comes up. It's a wonderful 100% organic search SEO marketer's dream. When you Google data puppets, only my videos come up there. I guess Google has never seen the terms data and puppets together other than me. I also hang with a group of influencers called the Data Vengers. We go out, we'll be in London in the fall. We've been in New York in the spring. We go to all kinds of events together and support each other on LinkedIn. I have a bunch of videos on YouTube if you want to check them out. I call it the Tortured Data Department, Taylor's version. I'm sure some of you get that reference, but there's a whole bunch of videos about the basic value and benefits that things like master data, reference data, data management, data stewardship bring to an organization. So just look for the Data Whisperer channel on YouTube. And I'm fortunate to have been recognized by a whole number of third parties in terms of validating the work that I do. I'm in the Data IQ 100, Analytica's Huge Who, top blogger in Dataversity, CDO leading consultant, all kinds of wonderful accolades that I've gotten. And this is what I do. I do events, I do videos, I work with enterprises and do internal webinars and town halls and sales meetings, or I work with event producers and do keynotes. I love being on stage. I think I have a fear of not public speaking. So I spend my time wherever I can to get these kinds of opportunities. And I also work with tech brands that sponsor the work that I do. I wrote a whole book about this topic. You may want to take a look at it. It's called Telling Your Data Story, Data Storytelling for Data Management. You can tell right on the cover, it is 99% buzzword free. I did not want to overpromise. And it was recently translated into French, where it's 99% Saint Ma a la mode, which of course means no words with ice cream. And we all try and be disruptive in the data space. I come by that honestly as well. I've been disruptive since the 4th grade. This is my 4th grade picture, school picture. See if you can pick me out. Yes, that's me. I still love the polka dots. And in my 4th grade report card, my teacher wrote, "Scott is disruptive and distracting to others." I took that as a compliment. Being distracting to others, that's a way to attract attention. And that's all I've done my entire career is attract attention. So I took the positive version of that comment from the 4th grade and have built a whole career around it. But when you talk to your business partners, when you talk about data, do your business partners ask, in the words of the great Canadian philosopher, some of you are probably wondering, Canadian philosopher, who could that be? Avril Lavigne, you got to remember her. Why'd you have to go and make things so complicated? That's what we do in the data space. We make it awfully complicated. We use terms and buzzwords and technology-oriented vocabulary that our business people just simply do not understand. And data can be very confusing. I'm sure you're familiar with the lake house, but a lot of business people think the lake house is where their data goes on vacation. Or the data fabric and the data mesh. What about the data Spanx? Let's tighten that integration. You may have heard of SQL. I'm sure all of you have used SQL, or maybe you use NoSQL. Anybody out there know what the NO in NoSQL stands for? Anyone take a guess? Not only. NO stands for not only. It's the world's shortest acronym, not only. I mean, only in the data space does no equal yes. They're looking for a standard for identification in the Internet of Things, only the abbreviation for that is idiot. That's not going to work. Or have you heard of integrated platform as a service with governance as a service? It's called I Pass Gas. That is an elevator pitch I am sure you do not want to experience. Believe me, that was recently released from stealth but deadly mode. Not a demo you want. A lot of people think just data is an IT problem. Classic way to explain it, that IT person might just throw up this glorious data model and say to their CEO, see, this is how we're going to do it. And again, why is it important? I don't care how you're going to do it until you tell me why. But I got a warning for you. IT can be scary. You do not want to leave your data alone with IT. You never know what's going to happen. But the truth about data management, my first personal philosophy here, when you look at storytelling as well, you want to be succinct, you want to be direct. I go through an exercise where I try and boil down whatever I'm saying to the fewest number of words. And in my case, you can take my entire data philosophy and boil it down to 3 words. I couldn't get it any shorter. Truth before meaning. You must determine the truth in your data before you derive meaning. Obviously, I'm in the truth team, hence the meaning of my truth hat. But you've got to find that meaning first, that foundational meaning, before you go off and do all kinds of fancy stuff in analytics. Truth before meaning. It is not chicken or egg here. It is egg and omelet. If you do not have the truth, you will not create the meaning that your organization is anticipating from the data that they're collecting and managing. On that data journey, if you will, let's dive a little deeper into truth versus meaning. When we say determining the truth, those are those foundational activities: data management, data governance, data stewardship, data quality, master data, reference data, metadata, RDM, MDM, PIM, RIM, DAM, all those foundational activities that you know and I know are out there to steward and curate and distribute and govern that foundational content that flows through every type of enterprise system. And that needs to be focused on, that needs to be funded, that needs to be in place before you can go too far in deriving meaning through business intelligence, analytics, data science, data literacy, visualization, AI, ML, all the cool, hot, super sexy, fancy stuff that gets a disproportionate amount of the focus and funding, considering how it depends on the truth part. So I like to think about determining the truth as where data starts and deriving meaning as where data ends up. If you don't start the right way, you're not going to end up where you want to go, no matter what you do. And there's two types of data storytelling out there. So some of you may be familiar with some of these books under the Deriving Meaning banner. There's 9 of them from some good friends of mine around data storytelling. I wish that had been called analytics storytelling, because that's what it really is. A way to take a piece of analysis, a KPI, a metric, some insight, and put it into a business context to drive value. That is super important. We're not saying that's not important, but there's also a story to tell about the data, about why managing data is of such critical nature for your organization. So 2 types of data storytelling out there: one about the data, data management; one with data, business intelligence. You need both. It's not Sophie's choice here. You got to have both. But I think a lot of you, given your data management expertise, will focus on that data management storytelling as well. We go all the way back here. I've been taking a look at kind of how far back this data management story will probably go. Now, today we're in Gen AI, and that burst on the scene about a year and a half ago. Again, I'm sure plenty of you were working on regular AI for who knows how long, but suddenly everybody knows about Gen AI. And it didn't take too long for people to start to talk about, well, Gen AI is only as good as the training data, and we need AI governance. Sound familiar? And before that, during COVID, everybody burst into e-commerce. Was a huge initiative for so many manufacturers out there who were now blocked from their retail engagement with customers. And so they had to suddenly throw themselves into the e-commerce space. And, well, they started saying, we need a foundation. We can't do it unless we have proper product data. All of a sudden, our e-commerce engines don't work. And there were a record number of MDM, master data management inquiries, from Gartner and Forrester and a lot of the big analysts out there, because suddenly all these companies needed to know about building that foundation. The chapter before that was data science, when that came on the scene. And then all of a sudden people were talking about how much time they spent. Oh, data scientists spend 80% of their time munging and wrangling data, and the other 20% complaining about how they munge and wrangle data. But those of us in data management knew needed the data to be good going in there. And Andrew Ng, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him. He's a great data science leader. He came out with this breakthrough observation, just being slightly cynical here, where he announced, if you want to improve your data science output, be more data-centric and less model-centric. Spend less time fine-tuning your model and more time curating the data that goes into it. Duh, of course. We've always known that. And big data came out. Big data needed little data. And those 3 V's of big data: volume, velocity, variety. That last V will kill you. Believe me, that last V was the hardest part, the variety of data. And before that, enterprise systems came out. That's when I started to get into the space in pre-2K in the 90s. People were implementing ERP and CRM, and they realized, we have to harmonize all our legacy data. And we have all these domain masters we're starting to create. And if you go way back all the way to general ledger, you still need a chart of accounts. So this whole litany here is just to prove, from Gen Ledger to Gen AI, it is the same story. No matter what the coolest thing is out lately, you still need data management, because the truth about data management is the success of every digitally transformative customer-facing initiative, every as-a-service offering, every foray into e-commerce, every enterprise software implementation, every Gen AI initiative is inextricably linked and connected to the successful output of your data management efforts. That is the most long-winded, complicated way I could say GIGO. Garbage in, garbage out. We all learned that on the first day of data. It is as sure as gravity. What goes up must come down. What goes in must come out. But I like to call this the golden rule of data. Do unto your data as you would have it do unto you. What you put into data management is what you get out of business intelligence or analytics or whatever we're calling it these days. You put bad data into an ERP, you get a lousy ERP. You put bad data into CRM, you're going to miss your customer opportunities. You put bad data into fintech, you might get a visit from the regulators. Bad data into BI is BS. Bad data into AI is AS, artificial stupidity. Because no matter how you slice it or how you dice it, the golden rule of data prevails. Do unto your data as you would have it do unto you. Or another way to say it, my most quoted quote, good decisions made on bad data are just bad decisions you don't know about yet. Now, every company has a data story to tell. Every enterprise, every organization, no matter what you're doing, you have a data story to tell about why managing data is of strategic importance. Now, you know that. I know that. But do your business stakeholders know that? Does your C-level management know that? Do the people who have the money to help get the work done that you need to do realize that? You got to start that data story. A lot of people like to start their data stories suddenly with every company's a data company. That's why we should do it, boss, because every company's a data company. No, every company is a software company. No, every company is as of 18 months ago, every company is an AI company. Frankly, I don't like this approach. I don't think it's real. That logic doesn't stand up for me, because if the kind of company you are is based on the tools that you use, then every company is a paperclip company. And nobody's bragging about that. Or you may want to start your data management story with some analysis from some of the analysts out there. Here's one that's hilarious from Gartner. They did this poll and looked at, okay, the percentage of companies measuring the value of master data. 90% said they don't measure it, and 10% said other. I hope yes is in other. I love MDM. That's where I came from. That's my background in the master data space. So I love MDM so much I had to pull off the road and take a selfie in front of Michelson Door Manufacturing. But explaining MDM, explaining master data as an example, and again, that's core to any data management activity. I like to think about a simpler way. So if I had a minute with your CEO, we would talk about how we need a common language across our organization for the most important things that we track: our customers, our prospects, our products, our services. We want to create a standard, establish a standard across our enterprise. Standards work. I know there's that old cliche, the beauty of standards, there's so many to choose from, but people understand standards. You don't even need to be in the data business to understand what a standard is. And at a certain level, it's just about rows and columns. If you think about a classic data visualization technique, the table, it's really easy to add columns. It's really hard to align those rows. Columns are easy. Rows are hard. You ever try and bang two spreadsheets together? Columns are the meaning. Rows are the truth. And at a recent trip to the Acropolis, I realized it is all about rows and columns. Data management, I know it can be a pain. It can be an absolute pain. I have talked to so many data leaders out there, and they don't use all those cute little business euphemisms like we have a challenge or we have a hurdle. They talk about physical pain, the pain of trying to deal and manage with all this data. I'm going to show you what pain really looks like. Now, there's a warning here. This is graphic content. Might be disturbing to any data stewards in the room, but we're going to have to show it. If your children are there, don't let them look at it. I call it naked data because there's no way to hide from it. Are you ready? Are you ready to see what it looks like? There it is. This is it. Classic stuff. These are from embarrassingly large global enterprises who don't know what they're doing with Coca-Cola, can't spell Nestle the same way twice, trying to track 7-Eleven. I don't know if you noticed it yet, but look at that. 7 equals 11, not in base 10. That last column came from a manufacturer who put people into stores to check on these 7-Eleven convenience stores. And we took a look at that call file, as they call it, which is the root file that the merchandisers use to track all these store locations. And because they were all doing it themselves, they had, when we took a look at it, over 270 different versions of the 7-Eleven banner name. That is a mess. That is the garbage in. That is a lot of creativity in the field. None of it is selling product. They're trying to come up with a new way to spell 7-Eleven every day. This is what we deal with. This is the truth that people have to see to realize we can't get there unless we fix it. And just because you put it in software doesn't mean it gets fixed by itself, because you put this in Excel and you get July 11th. Or you put it in Excel and you get November 7th, right? It depends on what geography you're even in. I've been using this slide for almost 30 years, and the good news is it's still effective, and the bad news is it's still effective. This is still the same problem. Again, from Gen I to General Ledger, we're still dealing with the same stuff. This is a funny one, just as another example of systems not always picking up the data correctly. I don't know if you noticed this little shoe advertisement here on an e-commerce site. Take a look at these sizes. I wear an October 5th. Crazy. But structured data works harder than unstructured data. It's a concept we have to convey to folks, to realize if we can structure some of the core elements of what we track as a business, so many other things are going to be easier. Oh, there we go. Oops, sorry, I had the same slide in there. So I talk about the 4 C's of data structure, and I'll take you through them now. Code, company, category, and country. And so when you think about an important record, an important entity in your business, every record has a code, has a unique identifier. Might have a ship to number, might have an SAP number, might have some sort of unique customer number that you've got on that particular entity. And it identifies it uniquely in that system and every other system that's connected to it. And it essentially confirms that this entity exists, that it's authenticated. And when you want to know things like how many of something you have, you'd count that unique code. If it's some sort of relationship, it has a company, it has a hierarchy, it has some sort of parent-child structure. It could be ship to, build to, plan to, sell to, all the different levels you might interact with whatever type of entity we're discussing. So you need to have that company hierarchy. And that helps you with really basic use cases, like we're sending a salesperson to the bottom left oval. Did they realize it's related to the bottom right oval? Those two things are connected. Salespeople, marketing people, legal, finance, they all have to depend on those hierarchical structures. Then you need to know what kind of thing that entity is. And there's all kinds of different ways to describe that too. And you use that for targeting, for segmentation, for market share. What kind of thing is this? And then finally, because they all start with C, unique country or some form of geography. Where is it? And geography can have all kinds of structure in it as well. There could be a zip code or a postal code or a city, state, zip, province, sales market, media market, measurement market, all the different types of geographies. So these 4 C's, code, company, category, country, they can be called different things depending on the use case and the application. They could be an entity, hierarchy, taxonomy, and geography. It might be a location, an account, a channel, a market. It could be a product, a brand, a segment, and a region. It could be an owner and a sector and a location, a thing, a parent, a type, a place. But when you have these 4 C's, you know where something is, you know what it is, you know who it is, and you know that it's unique. And when you have all that, all sorts of data problems go away. Just thinking, taking a Zen moment here, thinking about all those data problems going away. It is that foundation. It's very simple to discuss in this way when you try and describe it to those stakeholders who are wondering why they even need to do data governance. So let's put this in play here. If you take a look at kind of an abstract example, this yellow blob is a geography of some sort. In that geography are different things. They belong to, they're different kinds of things. They belong to different parents. And those parents have things in different geographies as well. And you need to know where they are. So this strange abstract cartoon here, I think, explains a lot of basic reporting that enterprises have to do. How many things do I have and what markets are they in? Or I'm working with the green square. Where are the green circles? Or we're dealing with red. Who do they compete with? So entity, hierarchy, taxonomy, geography, code, company, category, country, these 4 C's of data structure solve a lot of data alignment, aggregation, integration, definition problems all across the company and between you and your partners as well. The classic data challenge that a lot of companies go through, they have different departments. Sales, marketing, finance, operations. They've got different regions. They might be global. They might be local. They might be across different countries. They have different go-to-markets. How do you get the stuff you make to the clients and customers that consume it? Do you go directly through e-commerce? Do you have a physical product that has to go into a truck and then go to a warehouse and then go to a store? The more complicated your go-to-market, the more chances there are for data being disparate between parties. And then, of course, there's a lot more external data. External suppliers, like the ones I used to work for, are providing more and more insight about different things. But this creates a situation where multiple systems and workflows create disparate data with differing definitions that lack internal standards. This is the challenge, and it's very common. No matter what time of company you're in, you're probably dealing with something like this. I could put this in front of a CDO at a top Fortune 1000 company this afternoon and say, is this your problem? They would go, how did you guess? How did you know? Because it is literally everywhere. And the solution is data management. Data management helps align that data, helps structure that data, helps govern that data, helps brings that source of truth to provide all that meaning across the organization. So I always draw data management on the bottom. I don't put it on the top or the center or the middle or the side because it is that foundation for all those silos. It is the vertical for all, it's the horizontal for all those verticals. It's the row that goes across all those columns. When we think about finding your data story, finding that data story in your organization, that data management story, the real place to start is the essence of your business. Why does your business exist? Why does your company exist? Why does who you work for even have an offering that they provide to other customers? That's what you want to focus on. It's not the data reason, it's the business reason that's going to drive more value out of the data work you do. And every company that I've ever met, that I've ever engaged with, every company wants to provide value to their relationships through their brands at scale. Another example of me boiling things down to the fewest possible words. I looked for a statement that would encompass and really be relatable to every type of enterprise out there, which is provide value to your relationships through your brands at scale. And when we say provide value, only 3 ways I've seen value derived out of data: grow, improve, and protect. How do you help grow the business? Like increase sales. How do you help improve the business? Like operational efficiency. How do you help protect the business? Like mitigate risk. There are a lot of different use cases for data, but I'll challenge anybody to find one that does not fit in these 3 buckets: grow, improve, protect. Again, a really simple way to describe a really complicated process. And when we say scale, you need hardware. That's all about technology. You need hardware, you need software, you need data. If you have data, you need data management. When we talk about relationships, we all have relationships. Every company has relationships. If you don't have relationships, you don't have a business, but what you call them could be different. So you want to focus on that vocabulary of your business. Are they a customer? Are they a partner? Are they a prospect? Are they a citizen? Are they a patient? Whatever you call them might be something different, but they are all relationships. And we all have brands too of some sort. Not everybody's Coca-Cola and 7-Eleven and Nestle, but we all have brands or products or services or offerings. Might be a location. There might be piece parts and materials that go into those brand offerings, but we've all got brands and we've all have relationships. And so when your leaders talk about improving their relationships and expanding their brands, that's when you can get into the room and say, okay, how's our data on that stuff? Does your relationship data look like my 7-Eleven slide? Then you're not going to get there. You're not going to get there at scale. So a framework I've put together is called the 3 V's of data storytelling for data management. Obviously, a knowing wink to the 3 V's of big data, but instead of volume, velocity, variety, mine are vocabulary, voice, and vision. The first one, vocabulary. The words you use are important. You want to establish an accessible, common, business-related vocabulary. Speak the language of your business if you want to talk to the business folks. Skip all that legacy lexicon. Skip the technological doublespeak. And even words like data quality don't really resonate with the business side. Again, quality, I know it's important, but it's probably one of the most emotional and subjective ways to describe data. Everybody's got an opinion about data quality. That's why you want to focus on words like structure and foundation and standards. And the vocabulary tip, if you have established a business glossary, use it. Use those kinds of words. You can map it to whatever technically you want internally between you and the rest of your data and analytics and IT team. But the business side shouldn't learn a new language just to talk to you about what they need. Hear their language, hear the way they talk, and map that to your data, what your data can do. The second V is voice. How do you talk about this stuff? You want to harmonize to a common voice. Now, harmony doesn't mean everybody sings the same notes, but it does mean they sound great together. So putting together almost an internal marketing program about your data management journey. Try and get people excited about it in some way. Understanding that link between what you do in data management, between the outputs that you have in data management and the outcomes you're looking for from the business. And here's a little voice tip too. Seek out other storytellers in your organization. Everybody knows how to tell a story. You all know how to tell a story. If you've got children, you're telling them stories every night, probably 2 or 3 of them. You're talking to your family about stories. You're sharing stories with your coworkers and the rest of your organization about whatever it happens to be. It's the same technique. There's nothing new about that when it comes to data storytelling for data management. So look for those other data storytellers, or look for those other storytellers in your organization, in sales and in marketing and in communications. Marketing people know how to tell a story. Salespeople, if they can't tell a story, they don't make quota. So that's part of their training. It's the soft skill part of being a data leader that we don't always focus on that's so important here. And anybody who wants to be a leader in their organization must be able to communicate. If somebody doesn't understand you, consider it your fault, not theirs. So look for those other storytellers and they can help you get better at this. And the last V is vision, why it's important. Everything we do in data must enable the strategic intentions of our enterprise. Where is your company going and why is data going to help you get there? That gets their attention. Listen to what your leaders say. enable those strategic intentions. Your leaders are going to talk about company initiatives that have to do with brands, that have to do with relationships. Again, you can map those to the data challenges you have. But when they talk about that, they're not going to talk about data quality. I'll tell you that much. There's not a CEO out there who's going to write in their company letter every year or their strategy statement, we need better data quality. It's just not going to happen. But they are going to talk about relationships. They are going to talk about brands. And so everything that's way up at the top has this foundation connected to it at the bottom. And listen to what your leaders say. If you're having trouble understanding what your business vision is, look at your annual report or a strategy statement or a customer or company meetings. In the US, we have all these investor day presentations so we can hear what the leaders say and then map the data work to that. Now, here's a quick example here. It's actually a slide composite from an investor day presentation that a Fortune 1000 company gave. There's not really a build, so I'll kind of take you through it. The first one, vision. How do we find the vision of this company? It's right there. Just you could see that border around it. Their vision was to aspire to be the premier partner of choice for their customers, suppliers, and employees. Relationships right there. Their vision, the single sentence that described where their company wanted to go and the objective was about relationships. The voice was in all sorts of stuff throughout their strategic framework, customer engagement, enterprise effectiveness. They were talking about brand management. They wanted to differentiate the customer experience. They wanted localized productivity and efficiency, even though it was a global company that grew by merger and acquisition. So you know and I know behind the scenes there's all kinds of data mess going on. And then the vocabulary came in these company fast facts, doing business in 90 countries. So a huge global country that's trying to harmonize and structure all that data across their different entities, 800 suppliers, 100,000 customers. The top box actually came from an example. When I was at Dun & Bradstreet, we worked with this company and we took a look at their customer master and we found they had 185 duplicates of this particular company, Panasonic Mobile Communications. How could they possibly be the premier partner of choice for Panasonic when they have 185 duplicates? There's no strategic reason to have that much of a mess. That was their 7-Eleven slide. So very quickly, and this was a real example where we worked with an IT team to try and help them prove why they needed to invest in the data management side. This type of anecdotal example opened the eyes of management to realize we're not going to achieve our vision completely until we get our data house in order, until we strengthen that foundation, until we reduce that 185 duplicates down to something that's real and manageable. So leveraging the 3 V's of data storytelling: vocabulary, the words you use; voice, the way you talk; and vision, why it's important. Aaron Sorkin, if you're familiar with him, one of the great screenwriters, Oscar-winning screenwriter of Few Good Men and Social Network, he said the most powerful delivery system ever invented for an idea is a story. And I have one last story here. I'm hoping this works. So Alex, break in if the sound doesn't work here. I'm going to play a little video. If it doesn't, we can send you the link to it. But it's a cautionary tale about the lack of data governance. It's a data bedtime story I read to my grandson. There he is. It's called The Little Red Data Hen. Let's see if this works.
It's good.
Yeah.
I think there's no sound.
Is what? Is the sound work?
I think there's no sound.
There's no sound? Yeah, I don't know if I clicked the right button there. Okay. Well, I'll send some links out. Sorry about that technical piece here. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But it's an adorable little story, and my 4-year-old grandson in there, and he talks all about data silos. So I'm sure you'll enjoy it here. Whoops. So anyway, just kind of living happily ever after. Every enterprise has a data story to tell. It's about providing value to your relationships through your brands at scale. Two types of data stories out there. One about data, data management, determining the truth. And the other one with data, business intelligence, deriving meaning. You want to balance the how and why. I focused more today on the why. The how is important. Once they say yes, you've got to get it done. But again, business leaders, non-technical people want to understand why it's important. Leverage those 3 V's of data storytelling, establish an accessible vocabulary, harmonize to a common voice, and illuminate the business vision. And an effective narrative captures the hearts and minds of your business. They can energize your team. Stories can work faster than processes. And truth before meaning. Remember that as well. And if you know this movie, without data management, you can't handle the truth. In all respect to Aaron Sorkin, who actually wrote this line, and Jack Nicholson, with data management, you can handle the truth. The final page in my book, not giving away the surprise ending, hardware comes and goes, software comes and goes, but data remains. No matter what the next thing is coming on the hype cycle, again, from Gen Ledger all the way to Gen AI and whatever's coming next. If it takes technology, it's going to need data. And if you have data, you're going to need data management. Well, I want to thank everybody here. Hopefully that ran long enough. Sorry about the videos. I should have tested that first. But telling your data story, if you take a look at that QR code, that'll bring you to a whole variety of my links. Please, if you can, follow me on LinkedIn. Take a look at my video page on YouTube, and you'll find the Little Red Data Hen, as well as some of my puppet videos, Too Much Tech Talk, and then a premiere with a whole bunch of these crazy puppet characters. And hopefully it brings a smile to your day and helps you sell in your data management story. Am I back?
Wow, that was a great story from you. So yeah, I was quite excited. I was literally hold my breath the whole presentation. It was like really well done. So thanks for your like inspiration. Basically, I was so inspired. Was that even though I knew all that stuff because I kind of do this 9 to 5 pretty much. But still, like some of the concepts, especially this part about truth and the meaning. This is amazing. So thanks a lot. And I think now we have some Q&A time.
Sure.
With
Can you still
people.
see me? I don't know if I can. Am I still on?
Yeah, I can.
Oh,
I can
okay.
see
All
it.
right. Yeah, I'm still working with Teams here. So, okay. All right. Good. Sure. Happy to answer some questions. No, I appreciate it, Alex. I'm glad it was effective there. Yeah, for me too. It was just really trying to boil it down. How do you explain it? And I hit this truth before meaning thing, and it just seems to resonate with folks. And sometimes people take the word truth out of context. They try and this isn't about politics. This isn't about personal. This is about business. In business, you can find the truth in your organization of standard customer definitions, markets, hierarchies, taxonomies, all those basic piece parts that make up so much of what we do in data.
Yeah, and this anecdote about this strategic partnership, which has like hundreds duplicate records. Like just a couple of days ago, I had a client who was kind of trying to understand if new leads they were generating were for the existing customers, and they didn't have this matching algorithm because they, for example, for NY Times or New York Times, they had 2 different records. They don't even know if it's an existing client or it's a new client, and the whole process can go like other way. Like if you're talking to your existing client, but you say, hey, like this is our first deal or not, you don't even know. And they have this whole problem of master data management, but also they don't really understand the importance of introducing this whole concept of master data management, and they're all about like Gen AI. Can we use Gen AI to solve this problem? Real story.
Maybe. Yeah,
Maybe.
exactly. So, but if the data is good, again, it's the same problem. It's just keeps reoccurring, a new generation of it. And that's so classic what you're talking about there. The idea of, okay, New York Times, NYT, there's just a million ways to spell it. And it starts there. If you don't start with the right stuff, that is truly that garbage in.
True. So maybe I'll start with some questions just to get this thing rolling.
Sure.
So maybe what would be your advice when talking to customers who are just buzzwording about Gen AI? For example, like I have a bunch of requests from customers. Can we like implement Gen AI? And I keep selling them. Okay, if you want Gen AI, think about data governance. But what they give me as a response, like we need something quick, like in a month, like proof of concept for Gen AI. And I'm like, okay, like do you know like where your data is? Like, do you have the right quality of your data? And they're like, we don't know, but we need like a simple POC, like 50K worth. So what would be your advice, like in that situation?
I think you have to just sort of strip it down and just find the analogy that works for them to understand. You can't make that omelet if you don't have the eggs. You can't make a good meal unless you have proper ingredients. Food, I've found, is probably the best, most universal type of analogy for data because everybody understands food. They all understand cooking. They all understand what it means that a great cook and perfect equipment are not going to get you a great meal if you don't have proper ingredients. And it starts to sound a little cliche, maybe, but it is the absolute truth. It's the only way to do it. And so that proof of concept, obviously, you've got to carve out some subsegments of their data and clean that and structure that in a way that they could see what it looks like. But the when you explain to them how the proof of concept worked, perhaps it's super important to show those first phases of where you had to structure and standardize that data to make it work. Maybe even show them what happens when you don't have that proper data. I mean, everybody knows about these LLMs hallucinating because the data that went into them is incorrect. But it's a challenge. There's no single answer. There's no easy answer. And as you could see by even this presentation, this is just the nature of the beast in the data space that people get distracted and diluted almost by the newest fanciest thing and forget the basics. It's like, I would love to, be fit and healthy, but if I don't eat right and I don't exercise, it's not going to happen. And nobody's come up with a shortcut for that either.
Right.
I saw some comments there. I don't know if there's comments or questions in that, but let me look in the chat.
It's a call to discussion, I guess.
Yeah, eventually they will trust someone to guarantee that their Gen AI does not require God. I'd like to know who that is. I'd like to know who they end up trusting. I mean, that is that it's a fallacy there. I don't know how that works. It just simply doesn't. Bad ingredients make a terrible meal no matter what. And they'll get fooled by them, but unfortunately, that's not going to be a good situation. All right. Any other thoughts there? Any other questions? I'll find some links that I can put into the chat if people are interested in some of my videos. Sorry, that didn't work because it's super fun. My grandson's become a star in LinkedIn. Let's see here.
So before like maybe someone asks another question, maybe you can tell us about your book, what it is about, and what people can actually get out when they read it.
Sure. So the book was, I highlighted a number of the things that I did in the book in this session here. And it's just about how to pull that story together. And it came from all my years of working with data management professionals and just realizing, okay, there's value in trying to have people, put some kind of structure, put some kind of framework together to put that story in front of folks. And it came from my experience, working at Dun& Bradstreet, working at Nielsen. I ended up bridging that gap between the IT people and the business people in those days. It was even, again, I go back to the 1990s starting in data, and there was no chief data officer. It was all CIO. And what would happen is I would go in and I would talk with the, representing Nielsen or representing Dun& Bradstreet, talk with the IT and the data team. They would go, this sounds great. Now, can you help us explain this to the CFO? Because you explain it really well. And I realized that was my niche. That was my talent. A lot of times the account people would say, well, that client loved you. They want you on the account. And I go, no, they don't want me on the account. I don't know how to do this stuff. They said, well, you really seem to understand their problem. I said, I understand it. I can talk about it, but I can't fix it. We got to, hand that over to the right folks. I never look under the hood. I don't touch anything, but I can sit down with business leaders and explain it to them in a way that they go from, I have no idea what you're talking about to how do we live without this? So, as part of a team, we all, want to play part of a team. And I think I play my position really well, but I stick to my position, which is the storytelling part of it. And so I go through kind of how I came about a lot of these observations. There's a section in there, which is just kind of the classic data story that everybody has to go through. I kind of highlighted some of it about all those different silos and the data management on the bottom, and then go fairly deep into this 3V structure, vocabulary and voice and vision, and then give a number of examples of how you can kind of take apart, just like I did with that one quick example there, how you can kind of take apart somebody's business approach and where they don't even talk about the need for data management and show, look, here are the little data management hooks in there. Here's why they don't have master data. Here's why they need data governance. Here's why they need data stewardship. It's, it's in there. It's behind the scenes, and help people recognize, look, you've got to have the confidence that it's there. That's what it starts with. That you can walk into, from me as a supplier side, could walk into any organization and know there's going to be some data challenges there that we can unearth. They may not recognize them, they may not call them the same thing, but once you start to see it, you can kind of recognize it almost everywhere.
All right. So by the way, I forgot to mention, if you want to ask a question, please either type it in chat or you can raise your hand and we'll enable microphone for you so that you can ask questions live. So yeah, I already see a hand from Pablo. Pablo, I'm unmuting you, so please go ahead with your question.
Hi everyone. Hi Scott. So it
Hi,
was
Pablo.
like my pleasure, to listen to it. I'm just crying because so many issues I face with. So what's my question is, I put it also in the chat, but what good solution you have for engaging C-levels into data management? Because we have some sort of it, but it's like scattered along the a lot of divisions, and each division has its own pace of products, etc. So they have their own life cycle. So they think that they like a lot of the businesses has a lot of products, and they are very different. So you cannot build like centralized stuff. You have to take into account the diversity. So what would be your suggestion? Thank you.
Again, I would look at what those C-level folks are already saying. What is the vision of the company? How are they talking about where the company wants to go? What are some of those objectives? And start to peel those apart and find the data management story within those. So that example I gave about the vision of the company was to be the premier partner of choice. That was in their annual report. That was the #1 statement they made. they're locking themselves into the fact that they better have really good data about those relationships. And when they don't, it's going to keep them from achieving the goals that they want. So find the goals that your company is setting. It takes a little work to dig behind them. But
Yeah,
I don't
cool.
know, I don't know an organization that isn't trying to scale, trying to grow, trying to be more efficient, trying to be more effective, trying to find new opportunities, trying to reduce risk in and exposure. All those things need what data management can provide. The challenge you have is connecting those dots. But they will, what I've found is if you can start with here are the company objectives, right? Here's what you stated you want to do. And it's published, they've said it, might be on a video, might be in an annual report. Okay, let me show you behind the scenes. Here's what we could do if we had the right data to help you get there, whatever those examples are. And sometimes it is as simple as showing them whatever version of that 7-Eleven slide is for you. I've been in meetings where just the bubble just bursts and people start looking at whatever that version of the slide we showed them and just go, okay, we got to fix this. I literally had what we used to do at Nielsen, we had a technique where we would have maybe 6 or 7 examples of really bad data, and we would put them in order where it would just get worse and worse. So the story just gets more and more horrific. And there was a COO of a company we were presenting to, and we didn't get much further than like the 4th example. He just puts his head in his hands. It's like, all right, stop. I can't take this. You're right. We've got to fix this. As a salesperson, as a presenter, what you want to know in that situation is you don't say, oh, I've got 3 more examples to show you. You go, okay, great. Now we've got alignment here. Let's move to the next step. But it does take some homework to make sure you can connect where your company's trying to go and the actual data situation you have that's keeping them from getting there.
Yeah, thanks. Really great. Yeah.
Yeah, I also got one question, but before I ask it, just a small announcements. Like we have recently started onboarding new members to our organization, and we plan to kind of have exclusive events like this one being done regularly. So I will put a link in the chat so you can read about our membership plans and especially benefits you would get. And one of the benefits actually is not only access to precious information, knowledge, and webinars like this one, but also like career opportunities. You'll get a lot sorts of professional development support, access to internal knowledge base, and you'll be like ahead of others in terms of being inside this community of data professionals. And we also will help you to prepare for CDMP exam if you're also interested in achieving this certification. And actually, my question is also related to DMBOK framework. So Scott, like in your experience, like we have this really famous DAMA wheel with all these buzzwords in it. So like how successful you could say using this framework will actually help you promote and implement data management for your clients, including this data quality. So what can you tell about the framework?
I think I don't have a deep opinion of it. I've got some friends of mine. If you follow Malcolm Hawker, he's with a software company now, Prophecy. He and I used to work at Dun & Bradstreet. He's got some very strong opinions about the DAMA and the DMBOK and the wheel, because he's a lot more experienced in actually doing this data work. But so I don't really have it's a classic. It certainly covers everything. It probably is a little too deep to take a business group through. So I would not use it to, as soon as you say, well, there's 9 slices of the DAMA wheel and let's go through them one by one. And people would just start to roll their eyes and glaze over that they want to go through all this, but sort of capturing the essence of it. and reinforcing the fact that whether it's DAMA, whether it's I think there's a couple other organizations out there who have similar types of approaches. Pick something, and at least it gives the confidence that okay, there's a standardized framework that we're not trying to create this on our own, which I think is the point that's important to make. We're not starting with our own homegrown way to do data management. These are well-run, road-tested practices that work across global enterprises. And I doubt anybody on the business side is going to have any pushback on, well, we shouldn't use DAMA. We should use, I'm struggling with the other competing group, TDWI or something like that. But I think your instinct is right that it's too deep on its own to go through on the business side. But having a framework is important. Just helps guide you through where you want to go.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's why you start with why, and then you continue with the how, and the unblock is actually the how, probably more
Very
more
much
than
so.
why.
Yeah. Very. It's it's this much worth a how.
Exactly. Yeah. Thanks, Scott.
Super.
Yeah. Any other questions, guys?
Anything else? Well, thank you everybody for your time. Appreciate your time and attention during this. Hopefully, it gave you a few nuggets or a few new twists of phrase that can help you in your data journey. Please share with me how you're doing, and if there's any way I can help, let me know. Follow me on LinkedIn. That's the easiest way if you want to reach out to me in any way. LinkedIn's the best place to go. Take a look at my videos on YouTube when you have a moment. They'll probably give you a smile, and wish everyone the best of luck.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks
Have
a
a
lot.
great
Thanks everyone for
day.
attending.
Yeah. Have a great day ahead of you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.